There are innumerable moments in the last several months that have been really challenging. But there was one moment in particular that resonated with me as a mother. It was early on, and we were touring one of the Border Patrol processing centers where there was not just severe overcrowding, but conditions that were absolutely inhumane. Situations and conditions that were horrific. There were literally hundreds of women with children, and the women immediately surrounded us, weeping, begging us for help, telling us about the indignity and the inhumanity that they had suffered just to have an opportunity to knock on our door. Once they knocked on our door, they were greeted with as much misery as they fled. It was a very profound moment for me, and as I walked out, I could hear the wailing of the children, and I just will never forget that. And I, as a mom, I know there's nothing I wouldn't do for my kids, nothing to ensure their safety and to demand humanity for them. It really deeply impacted me because all of this was happening in my community.
I visited the border several times, and I've been an eyewitness of this horrible, horrible chapter of our history that we must correct. We found that there were children in the Cayuga Center in my district, a walking distance from my central district office in Harlem, that were being provided foster care services there. Through the efforts of non-for-profits, good New Yorkers that stepped up to the plate, we were able to reunite 5 families. This is not a Democratic issue, this is not a Republican issue, this is a human rights crisis. When a mother loses her 8-month-old baby or her small children are sent 3,000 miles away to New York, as it was in my case, in my district, that should push us to put partisan politics and partisanship aside and work on it to resolve it.
Many of us in Congress were shocked and devastated when we found out that the administration was systematically separating young kids from their mothers and their fathers. So many of us have tried to do everything that we can over the last year and a half or so to reunite these families.
I see myself in them as a young child coming to the U.S. and how different my experience was, and I wish I could change that for them.
The Congressional Hispanic Caucus is leading the efforts to expose the abuses of this administration. In addition, we aren't forgetting the fact that we still need to fund humanitarian efforts. We want to make sure there's lawyers for them to talk to. We want to make sure that as basic things as diapers and toothpaste and toothbrushes are being sent to the border.
We've now been working on legislation to ensure that the right medical services are provided for children that approach the border.
Members went down to the facilities to see for themselves what was going on. We've applied a lot of pressure on the administration, and so we continue to provide accountability so that we can make sure that every child is reunited with their parents.
When you have an administration like this one, who every day tries to put a new roadblock in, every day decides they're going to do something worse than they did yesterday, we are still seeing families being separated, grandparents from grandchildren, siblings from each other, because if it's not a parent and a child, they're saying it's not a family. That's wrong. These are family units, and we have to keep them together.
At this time, it's really important for us all to come together to find a solution for what is happening on the border. A solution based on humanity, and that our policies reflect who we are as a country.
Nonprofits are gathering, philanthropy is gathering, journalists are gathering, individuals who are in the law enforcement but also in the community service are gathering to find a comprehensive solution.
We can pass as much legislation as we want in the House of Representatives, but it essentially reaches a dead end at the Senate.
Frankly, members of Congress, we can't do it by ourselves. It's the activists and the lawyers on the ground that are taking us where we need to go to see what's happening.
The court system has really stepped up and showed that the rule of law in the U.S. still stands.
Like any other problem, you can attack it from different sides, and I think the biggest thing that we can try to do to address this issue is first and foremost reform our immigration system, which is broken.
We need to start by investing in the Northern Triangle so the situation there is better, so they don't feel compelled and the need to come here.
But in addition to that, everybody has a role to play. The press can continue to report on conditions at the border and how our government is not meeting the needs there.
Really, the hard work is on the ground with Annunciation House, with Las Americas, with DMRS, with Border Hope Institute, that are really working for those families that really are coming to this country without anything. We need individuals to understand that this is a human issue.
We want people around the world to know that America's values are for strengthening families, not ripping them apart. That we care about every single human being, and that in the worst of times, you often also see the best of a people.
When you think about it, the kind of journey that these human beings have to undertake to come here into an uncertain future, the least we can do is treat them as human beings. The least we can do.
At the end of the day, we have to uplift the dignity of people. We can debate what the immigration policy should be, but at the end of the day, I want to make sure that when it comes to children, when it comes to women, when it comes to families that are suffering, that are looking for a refuge, that are leaving their countries not because they want to, but because they have to, that we as Americans can stand the same way we stood on Ellis Island welcoming immigrants, that we can stand along the southwest border understanding that refugees also need our help.
Gracias a Dios los encontré en buenas condiciones. Sí, felices de haberme visto. Cuando me vieron, me abrazaron y lloraron.
It's going to be really challenging to regain our reputation in the world as a country of goodwill. But it's going to start really with every single person recognizing that we have to do better and that we all have a role in changing things. I'm a politician, and I think we change things by the people that we elect. And we have to take a long, hard look at the values that are represented in the offices across the land. And we have to fight for those values. We are all in this journey together, and it's going to take all of us to reclaim the goodness in our country. It's there, we just have to reclaim it.